Hi, I'm Angela Wolf, and I want to show you how to take just a regular outfit, it could be a jacket, skirt, anything, and add a little quilting to give it some design. This is just a regular princess seam jacket, and I've altered it and added this quilting. A really fun look for sportswear. Has a little tennis skirt, and I've even altered the sleeve a little bit and added a zipper. Just kind of a fun style. Let me show you how easy this is to change your pattern. So here I have, this is just a three-piece. This isn't a princess seam, but it's the same thing. Measure on your body where you want that quilting to start. If it's going to be at the lower half or wherever you want it. So I'm going to say on this back piece, like similar to that one, I want it to curve a little bit. So here's a curved ruler, and I'm just going to draw a new seam. This is very similar to color blocking. So that could be a really neat angle, and all of this is quilted. Or you could make it a little bit higher. Anything you want. So I will know that from this point up will be just a regular fabric, and this point down will be the same fabric yet quilted. Again, I'm going to make little hash marks. We'll use this line here. These hash marks remind me that when I cut this pattern apart and lay it on the fabric to add a seam allowance to both of these sides. If you don't, your jacket's going to be a little bit shorter. So this is perfect. And so just imagine your quilting. You can either have it, remember where your grain line is. You can either have your quilting lines go straight down. See if I can line this up. And straight across, something similar to that. But what I've done on this outfit is I actually have them going on the bias, which is an exact 45-degree angle from this angle here, from the grain line. So all my quilting lines are going that way and this way. Ignoring the hem and ignoring this part. I'm starting with the main grain line in the center to come up with these lines. Let's see here. So here is the fabric. Slide this out of the way a little bit. This is the exact fabric. It's just a Ponte knit, 100% polyester, has some stretch. You can actually see through it just a little bit. So it's very light. This is the same exact fabric, but a different color. Again, here we go. Has a little bit of stretch. And what I have here is fleece. You could use 1 layer of fleece, 2 layers of fleece. There's no, you can't press this on. There's nothing sticky on this. It's just fleece, just like this. And so you'll have 1 piece of fabric on one side, 1 on the other, and then decide how much fleece you want in the middle. I'm going to use 2 just to make it very extreme for you to see here. With this one, I only used 1. And it gave just a nice layer, but you can tell there's something in there. But the reason I put fabric on the back side is because you don't want to see this. So that's that part. And the other thing I want to point out is this bias binding. It's a great way to finish this hem because with this thick quilting, if you were to turn this under to hem, that's really thick and it would look really funny. So instead, we've added a bias binding to the edge of everything. And all that is a piece of fabric cut on the bias. You've seen me talk about bias before, but this is a great way because on the bias it stretches, and when you go around curves, you'll be able to turn this without having a lot of wrinkles, or any wrinkles, I should say. So let's go to the sewing machine. I'm going to show you an easy way to quilt this. So here's our sandwich, fabric, fleece, fabric, and I'm going to put just a few pins in here just to keep it stable. Every once in a while I might do a hand basting stitch through there, but pins work great. Just try not to sew over them. So here you go, and then 1 more. The other thing sometimes I'll use are little clips on the end just to hold that in place. But remember, we cut the fabric larger than your pattern piece. If you want to be really safe, cut it a lot larger because then you can always trim it when it's finished. That's a very safe way. Here's my ruler. Okay, again, remember our grain lines, there's a grain line, and there's a grain line. I can see it on the fabric. So I want this line, the first quilting line, to be on the bias. There you go. So that's one, and let's just line up one more just so you can see. Trying to see it through the ruler. There you go. So what I'll usually do is take the time and go through and chalk all my lines going this way, and then quilt, and then chalk all my lines going this way. Let's go to the sewing machine. This is a digital dual move it foot, and it has a control on the side. If it's in the down position, that means that this foot is engaged. If it's in the up position, then it's disengaged. It's very similar to a walking foot, but actually a little bit better. It has a brain of its own. There's a rubber roller in here that controls the speed on this, and it controls what's in between here so your bottom layers don't shift, if that makes any sense. But it's awesome, you should try it. So I have it in the down position, and one more really neat feature on this machine is the laser light. And I've always been trying to find ways to use this because it's really neat. If you ever were worried that you can't sew a straight line, well, no excuses anymore. So put my needle in the down position, and I'm lining up my laser light with my chalk mark and stitching. Because I have 2 layers of fleece here, I put it on a 3.0 stitch. It's really a good idea to test your machine with your fabric, with the thread you're using, and just make sure that the stitch looks nice. Sometimes I'll actually use a little bit larger stitch, like a 3.5 or a 4.0, if I'm trying to have a really cool top stitching look. So just test it and see what you like. That looks really nice. I'm using a different color thread, obviously, so you can see this. All right, I'll do one more. Lining it up. This foot, the roller just moves as you're stitching. And I'm not worried about my fabric underneath puckering or anything else. Again, another nice. One thing I didn't mention is I'm using a number 14 G needle. That's a really sturdy needle to get through all of these layers. And if you have any skip stitches, change your needle and grab a new one. So on the back side, it looks really nice. On the front side, it looks nice. Now let me just do one more thing here. Line this up. So this would be my quilting line going the other direction, and I would mark these all the way. So first, you would stitch all of your quilting lines in one direction, then start going the other route. So once you're finished with this is that bias binding I was telling you about. This attaches so nicely. I'm just going to cut a little strip here, just to make sure that's even. Watch this. Just lay it on top. I'm not stretching it at all, unless you go around a corner. And you'll just stitch. You don't even need pins. You can just sew this. See how that just stitches on? I will wrap this around the edge. I didn't do a very good job cutting there, but wrap this around the edge. Get that off there. And fold it back and fold it under. So from the front side, that's what I have. Another option is to serge this edge, fold it over, and top stitch. So when you're finished with this, you can do this around every single edge. On the sleeves, I did the same thing and I added that zipper. So I took this bias binding and wrapped it all the way up to the top of that and added the zipper inside, and then I attached that to the jacket sleeve. This is so easy. And if you're a little intimidated to start with the whole jacket, just do the collar.